Hi folks, Andrew Chappell here from Andrew Chappell Natural Bodybuilding. Check me out on Facebook and follow me on Instagram at Fuel by Scott's Oats. So before I get into this for today, just a quick shout out to NVR Performance Wear. Thanks very much guys for sending me this t-shirt to wear. They also sent me another one as well in a sort of light blue colour with the same sort of white flecks through it. I've been doing some housework this morning, doing a little bit of gardening, and they seem to have held up well, so I'm sure if you wanted to get one of these and use it to train in, or if you wanted to sort of just cut about in it, there'd be absolutely no problem at all. So I'll post a link in the description below after this video, so if you want to go and check them out, then you'll find them on Facebook, and they've also got a website where you can get these t-shirts as well. They also sell those cool big bottles that you'll see everyone using in the gym as well. Also, a shout out to my sponsor, Extreme Nutrition, and also to the BNBF, who are running their second show this weekend over in Northern Ireland. So hopefully it all goes to plan and there's not any issues like there was last year when the fire alarm went off a couple of times and the fire brigade turned up. So hopefully that all goes to plan. So today, because I'm not driving around or anything like that, and I'm in my house, I thought I'd talk a little bit about sort of protein, because that's always a hot topic. People are interested in it, and people always want to sort of know what protein supplements or supplements that you potentially use as well. And I'll talk a little bit about my diet and how it's been going so far as well. So first and foremost, I'm sponsored by Extreme Nutrition. So that's this brand here, and I've probably been sponsored by Extreme Nutrition for well over 10 years now. Now, in that time I've used other protein supplements, I've used other brands for things like creatines, branched chain amino acids and things like that, but I've always used Extreme Nutrition as well. Other brands are available, but this is just a company that I've always been backed with and have always been very, very good to me. So I'll always sort of give a shout out to Extreme Nutrition. Now, one thing I'll say to people, if they want to go and buy their own protein and they're wondering what to buy, is the first and foremost thing you should look at is the ingredients. So when you look at the tub, when you go on here, first thing you want to look at is ignore all the stuff that tells you how much protein's in your actual supplement, how many carbohydrates, how much sugar, etc., and actually look at the ingredients themselves, because that's the most important thing you're going to be looking at when you want to buy a tub. And what you'll find is a lot of the cheaper suppliers, so companies that will sell things for sort of below the premium brand prices, they'll use ingredients like, say, milk protein concentrate instead of things like whey protein, or they'll use things like pea protein as well. Now, there's nothing wrong with that protein source. However, whey protein has got slightly better amino acid profile, and if you're spending your money on protein powder, you really want to go for something that's going to give you the most bang for your buck, instead of going for something which is essentially just milk powder, in which case you might as well just have a milkshake after you train. So what sort of supplements do I use then? Well, from the research that I did last year at the British Natural Bodybuilding Federation's final, where we interviewed a whole host of bodybuilders and we asked them what sort of supplements they took and recorded it for us, we found that on average guys are taking around about, say, 7.5 supplements each, and females take slightly less, maybe about 5.6 supplements. Okay, so that's kind of the average that people are taking. Now, a lot of those supplements people probably just take for granted. Okay, they forget that they probably actually take them, but they are supplements nonetheless. So what am I talking about there? Well, something like a multivitamin. So this is just a sort of insurance policy really. I try and eat 5 portions of fruit and vegetables a day at least. I certainly get at least that, and then this is just a sort of top up just in case I might be lacking in anything. When I buy these sort of multivitamin supplements, I don't go for the ones that have got the massive RNIs or RDAs on the back of them, because you more or less just excrete it all. So you'll notice if you're buying ones that have got high amounts of B vitamins in them, then what you find is your urine, it can be a little bit smelly, it can be a little bit luminous in colour, and that's just because you're excreting most of what you're actually taking in. And that in itself can act like a little bit of a diuretic, and you might end up having to drink a little bit more water. So multivitamins, something that I take. Also take essential fatty acids. Most notably, I take fish oil. Okay, I don't use other polyunsaturated fatty acids because I get enough of the N6 variety of polyunsaturated fatty acids just from my diet, from eating things like chicken or nuts or even the occasional bit of beef. So N3 fatty acids is what I have. Big thing about the omega-3 fatty acids are that all the health benefits are associated with the marine sources, okay? So you don't get any of the health benefits associated with fatty acids coming from the vegetable sources. And this is to do with the structure of these different fatty acids, whereby the structure of the sources coming from things like flax, linseed, etc. are much shorter in their chain length of the fatty acid, whereas these are a much longer chain length, and this is where the health benefits are. So those short chain ones, when it can get converted to those long chain ones, the conversion rate is about 5%. So for every 100 gram of short chain fatty acid you consume, you only get 5 grams of the active source of this. So just take 5 grams of that instead, and then you don't lose that that conversion. So those are the sort of basic supplements that people will sort of take and not realise that they're sort of taking supplements or forget to include them. Other sort of common things that people will use though, however, everyone uses protein powder, more or less it seems, as a bodybuilder. There's lots of different types. So I've got here something called Extreme Pro 6. This is a sort of casein based one. I'll have this before I go to sleep at night. And then you've got a classic sort of whey, and this is something that I'll take after training or I'll take in the morning as well, normally with my oats. Now the thing I'll stress about protein powders is you don't necessarily need supplements in your diet. So all supplements are things for convenience, and I could get the same nutrients from my diet. However, this just offers me an easier way to get the supplement into my body, get the protein into my body that I want, and it's probably slightly more efficient. Now, I could just cook up some eggs, but I'm busy, and it's just easier for me to have a dietary supplement. Other common supplements people will use: creatine. So this is Crevolution X. I actually need to get slightly more of these. So I take about 3 grams of that a day, and that's pretty consistent with your creatine monohydrate loads that you'll see out there for the various position stances from the ACSM and the ISSN as well. So I could have monohydrate, however this is something called Crealkaline, so it's alkaline buffered, and this is supposed to be more bioavailable. And I've been using it for years. And I always find it sort of is really effective for maintaining my strength throughout the diet, and it certainly helps me, I think, get that extra rep when I'm working hard during sets, which makes sense because that's what creatine is supposed to do. Branched chain amino acids. I'll take these usually when I do cardio in the morning, or if I do a little bit of posing practice in the morning. So I'll probably have about, how many is in here? 3 capsules per serving, maybe about 6 to about 9, and that'll give me about 4 to 5 grams of leucine to tell my body to start synthesizing protein in the morning. So that's that. Also, I tend to have flapjacks. So this is a protein and flapjack bar, and as I mentioned earlier on, there are numerous sort of different companies on the market. If you're going to buy things like flapjack bars and so on to help you with your prep, to help yourself with your dieting, or if just in general, then really you want to try and go for ones that have got quality ingredients. So that one there I had, that's a CMP Pro Flapjack bar. That's made with whey protein concentrate. If you look at the back of the ingredients on some other bars, you'll find that in a lot of cases they are things like, say, just milk protein, which is put in there, which is of course where whey comes from and casein comes from. However, you're going to get much more concentrated essential amino acids in a whey rather than a milk protein concentrate. And in that case, if you've got something that's a milk protein concentrate, well, I suppose you may as well just buy Snicker bars with the protein added to them, because that's essentially what you're buying. The other thing I've got here is a fat burner. So this is something called Lean R, and fat burners, most of them have got the same sort of ingredients. caffeine based, some sort of stimulant in them, like bitter orange extract, and then you might have various other polyphenols. So this just gives me, well, it's supposed to help me metabolize a little bit more fat in the morning and give me a little bit more of a stimulant boost. I'll take that when I wake up and when I'm going to do a little bit of cardio in the morning, just to give me a little bit of extra help in the morning. Whether or not it actually makes a difference to my fat loss long term remains to be seen. I've used them before in the past, and they probably give you about 0.5%, I would say, if you could even quantify it. But I'm just being realistic. The other thing I've got here is just some simple glucose powder, so I'll add that to my Extreme Whey that I've got there, and that's just a sort of post-workout recovery drink that I'll make myself. There is another product that Extreme do called Build and Recover, and sometimes I'll take that. That's got some crealkaline in it as well as some other B vitamins. So between them, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 7 supplements that I've been taking. So fairly consistent with what other bodybuilders are sort of doing, and again, taking them for similar sort of reasons that other bodybuilders will be taking them as well. Now, the question about protein is typically, well, how much protein do you need in your actual diet, particularly when you're bulking or off season compared to when you are, say, getting ready for a competition. Now, when you're in the off season, general sort of recommendations, guidelines, if you look at these things, the general sort of consensus, if you're a strength athlete like someone like me or a bodybuilder, then you're talking somewhere in the region of about 1.6 grams up to 2.0 grams per kilogram of body weight. Now notice that I say grams per kilogram of body weight, okay? People sometimes like to talk about macro splits in terms of percentages. However, macro splits in terms of percentages, they don't really mean anything, okay? So I could say my diet's 20% protein, but if I'm only on 1,000 calories, then I'm not eating a lot of protein, okay? So when you're talking about macro splits, it's really important that we talk about things in grams per kilogram of body weight, because then we can say something about how much a person's actually eating relative to their size, and if a person's actually eating enough or not. So general guidelines, about 1.6 to about 2.0. Now it's not that hard to get protein in your diet. In the off season, when I'm getting, well, just in the off season, generally for breakfast what I was having was 200 grams of oats a day. In that 200 grams of oats, I was having 400 to 500 mils of milk, just semi-skim milk in my oats in the morning, and then I was adding a little bit of sweetener to that as well. Now, oats by themselves, per 100 gram, you're talking anywhere in the region between 6 to 8 grams of protein. Milk, again, I wouldn't know what it is off the top of my head, but easily, just from that meal alone, I could have up to, say, 20 grams of protein. And now that's what you guys would normally sort of call incidental protein. A lot of people wouldn't even normally count that amount of protein. Now, if you consider that I'm having other things like, say, 110 grams of pasta, or say 110 grams of rice per meal, I might get an extra 8 or 9 grams of protein off the back of that quite easily. And if you add that all up over the course of a day, you could incidentally get yourself somewhere in the region of, say, about 50 to 60 grams of protein without even trying. Okay, so it's not that hard once you start adding things like eggs, chicken, beef to your diet to actually get the protein that you're trying to get, to actually go up to something like, say, 150, even 180 grams of protein in your diet a day. And if you're a strength athlete, again, in the off season, you're trying to get bigger, again, the guidelines are 1.6 to 2.0. Again, it's no problem at all for you to get that in your diet at all, okay? You don't even have to try that hard. Now, when it comes to actually cutting for a competition, getting yourself in shape, we always talk about the trifecta of protein, okay? So protein has 3 distinct advantages when you're getting ready for a competition. So when you follow a high protein diet, which most bodybuilders do, you've got protein has muscle sparing properties, okay? So if you eat enough protein, then you preserve the lean mass on your body. Protein induces something called diet induced thermogenesis, okay? So for every 4 grams of protein, for every 4 calories you get from a gram of protein, you lose about 1 calorie just during digestion, okay? Just to process that, get that in your body, absorb it, you lose a little bit as well. And if you look at the studies on this, if they put people in metabolic chambers, they give them high protein diets, they give them high carb diets, and they compare these different things, what you tend to see is people just expend more energy eating high protein diets. So you've got sort of two things going on there with the high protein diet. You've got the burning energy, you've got sparing muscle tissue, and then you've got the satiating effect, okay? So when you're hungry and you're on a diet, and when you're on a diet you will be hungry, then what protein does is it's satiating, so it fills you up. It means that you don't go out and you don't binge on food because you've been satiated off your protein. So protein has sort of those three distinct advantages. Now, at the moment in my diet, I'm taking in roughly, and I'm just going to have a look at this, about 2.6 grams per kilogram of body weight there. So you'll be able to work that out based on what you're eating yourself, what that sort of translates to your sort of own body weight in terms of how much protein you might be wanting to eat if you wanted to sort of replicate that 2.6 grams. Now, again, because I'm eating incidentals, my protein is quite high. Again, as I said, I'm still eating 200 grams of oats. So again, I'm still easily getting 16 grams of protein off the back of that to 12 grams of protein. Really, really easy. So it's maybe slightly higher than it needs to be. I can perhaps take it down a little bit. However, when we're talking about cutting, people that are in a calorie deficit, particularly as the calorie deficit gets more severe, perhaps need a little bit more protein. Now, if you look at the literature on this, it's quite controversial, particularly when we talk about bodybuilders, what bodybuilders should be consuming. So, for a bodybuilder, we say, okay, well, if you're on a diet, perhaps you need 2 grams per kilogram of body weight, okay? Maybe you need slightly more. However, there have been a few studies that have suggested that you need slightly more. So there's a meta-analysis, systematic review by Eric Helms, and they suggested that actually you might need somewhere in the region of 2.7 all the way up to say 3 grams, maybe a little bit more per kilogram of body weight, and this will help you preserve lean muscle tissue. Now, if you look at that study, I've got absolutely no idea how they actually managed to come to those sort of numbers, particularly when you look and you find, well, the highest protein intake of anyone in that study was, any study reviewed within the meta-analysis was in the region of about 2.7 grams. So it seems to me like they've sort of made up the rest of the protein just based on some sort of, well, I don't know, they've just come up with it. Okay, so we could say that, well, 2.7 grams seems a sort of reasonable amount based on the sort of literature that's there and present in that meta-analysis. Going beyond that seems, well, it seems unnecessary. When I asked my bodybuilders what they were consuming last year at the British Finals, what I found was, and when I split them into who's more successful versus who's less successful, i.e. did you win, did you not win, did you place top 5 or did you not place top 5, what we find is that typically the more successful bodybuilders, especially at the end of the diet, were consuming in the regions of 3.3 grams per kilogram of body weight for protein, whereas the less successful bodybuilders, they were consuming in the region of 2.7 all the way up to say about 2.8, 2.9 grams per kilogram of body weight. So maybe there's a little bit of rationale there, particularly when you look at the Helms paper and say, well, okay, maybe you can get away with consuming that sort of amount of protein in your diet. And again, I'm probably at around about the region of 2.6, 2.7 grams almost per kilogram of body weight. But what you have to bear in mind is as my weight comes down, that proportion of protein towards my own body weight, the grams per kilogram, is going to increase there. So if I say, well, I want to keep it around about 2.7 the whole way through my diet, then I have to adjust my protein to come down at the same sort of time, because I could potentially save calories elsewhere in my diet. I could save it from my carbohydrates, because you need carbohydrates for energy, or I could save it from my fats, because again, you can use fats as energy, but you also need a little bit of fat for hormone production as well. So when you're dieting, don't be afraid to take a little bit of your calories out of your protein if you've got that sort of upper cut off that you're going to have around about the region of about say 2.6 to 2.7 grams per kilogram of body weight. So that's my little talk on protein. In terms of my own diet so far, well, started off at 91.3 kilograms. Last few days I weighed myself. Oh, if you're going to weigh yourself, always weigh yourself at the same time of day. I always weigh myself in the morning just so I'm consistent. Anyway, so I'm around 88.9 kilograms. So this is the first time in around about say 2.5 years I've been below 89 kilograms. I couldn't believe it. In the gym, my belt's actually a little bit smaller when I'm doing squats and stuff like that. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, I'm actually losing weight. So I worked that out. That's about 2.4 kilograms, or about 5.3 pounds I've lost in just over about 3.5 weeks. To be honest, I've not really tried that hard to lose that amount of weight. All I've done since the start of my diet is clean things up really. So in the off season, what I generally do is I've got a plan, meals I'm going to have. It's going to be about 6, maybe even 7 meals a day. I'll try and eat them throughout the day, and normally Monday to Friday, pretty consistent, I eat all the time. Weekend, I'm pretty good as well. However, if I want to have something to eat, say there's a pizza, I'll just have that instead of one of my meals. That's not an issue to me. If I'm out and about and I say, oh, I could go for a Subway, then I'll have that. It doesn't matter because I'm having at least another 5 meals in a day. And over the course of a week, if I have, say, 5 meals a day, over a week, and that's 35 meals, if 5 of them or 4 of them are a little bit off, then it's no big deal. For me, it's all about consuming enough calories, particularly in the off season. Now, I know some people, what they like to do is they like to perhaps have cheat meals, and they follow their diet for the rest of the week, and then they have a scheduled cheat per week. Now for me, that just sounds like a diet. If I'm honest, that's all that sounds like to me. I like to enjoy myself in the off season, so if I want to eat something, I'm going to eat it. I'm not going to feel guilty about it. It's not going to be an issue for me at all. And I know based on my own body shape, my own body size, that I can get away with eating a little bit like that. Now, speaking to some of my friends who tell me if they look at a pizza, they're going to gain 3 or 4 pounds. They can't get away with that. Me, I can get away with that, so it's no problem at all for me to do that. So all I did when it came to the diet for 3 weeks ago is I just simply stuck to a plan. I cut out all the treats and things like that I was having, so there was all that sort of unscheduled meals that I might have, anything I was eating on top of the diet I was having, that just went. I stopped drinking alcohol, so occasionally I like to drink a whiskey, or I'll go out with a weekend for friends or something like that. It's not really a big deal for me. So once all that sort of stuff's cut out and I've cleaned up my diet, it's a case of, well, everything starts getting tighter, I start looking a little bit better, and I've lost a lot of weight without even trying to do anything like that. Over the next couple of weeks though, I'd imagine it's going to get a little bit tougher. So at that point, I'm going to start introducing a little bit of posing practice. That'll probably help a little bit. And then I might have to start doing a little bit of cardio as well. This diet, however, has been different from ones I've done in the past. So in the past, I've had to introduce cardio to my day because to help with the weight loss. However, with my current job, I tend to probably walk about half an hour a day. So I park my car, I walk to work, do my work, walk back to the car, and then I go to the gym. In the past, I've just simply left the house, jumped in the car, went to my work, went to the gym. Okay, so I had to add that cardio to my diet. So having this cardio in my plan already, just because it's integrated as part of my day, is probably helping a little bit as well. So it's worth. So again, I've not had to make any sort of major changes. I've just cleaned things up, and that's more or less it. And it's helped me lose a little bit of weight. So that concludes the video for today. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you found it interesting, and it was everything you wanted it to be. If you've got anything you want me to talk about, then just post it in the comments below. I can run over it. I can let you know what I think about it. If you're interested in things like protein nutrition, then there's a great review by Oliver Wittard I suggest you check out. I believe it's published in Nutrients. That's the name of the scientific journal. So that was last year that was published. So just Google Oliver Wittard, protein, and then you'll find lots of his stuff, and you'll be able to sort of come to your own conclusions on protein demands for a potential athlete. Okay, so thanks very much for your time, and until the next time, keep training hard.